Guys, today we're going to take a look at how to apply some of the fabric patterns that we created to our flats. And it's a pretty easy process, especially since now that you have mastered the print repeat and the make pattern option. So what I have here is I've created a flat of this skirt. This is the skirt that you'll be making a flat for, and I'm not going to show you how to do the flat at this point. I figure you're on your own. You can go ahead and make this flat on your own, and once you're finished, it'll look something like this. Now what I've done is I've made sure that my flat is all on one layer here, and I'm going to also open up the stripe and plaid that we have done. Now you should have a stripe and plaid just like this. You'll have a few more than this. I just took one stripe pattern and one plaid pattern for this demonstration, but you'll have a few more to choose from. You're also going to want to open up your print repeat, and I have my print repeat right here. Again, just one colorway. You'll have a few more to choose from. So what I'm going to do first is, since this is already in a print repeat, I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit smaller. Now I could go ahead and use this print repeat directly into this flat, but if you'll notice, this swatch would appear on a fabric board, and it would indicate that that's the actual size of the print repeat. Meaning if I had a piece of the fabric and I held it up to that swatch, the pattern on the fabric would be the exact same size as in my rendering. However, if we pop on over to this flat, the flat is tiny. This is not the actual size of the skirt. It is much smaller. So we have to go ahead and make our stripes and our print repeats smaller to match the size of the flat. So I'm going to come on over here, and I have this already as a print repeat. So if I go over here, I've highlighted it in my swatches menu and double click on my swatch, I have gone ahead and opened up my make pattern little preview window right here. Now what I'm going to do to make this smaller is I'm going to zoom in on my print repeat. I'm going to grab my black arrow. I'm going to select everything and then just size it down. I'm going to hold the shift key while I do this because I don't want the proportions of my swatch to get any fatter or skinnier. Now we can see I've gone ahead and made my print repeat much smaller, but I have all these big spaces in between. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the spacing of my artwork over here. I'm going to click this size tile to artwork, which is going to begin the process of meshing back my tiles together. You'll see there's still a little bit of gaps here and there, so I am going to enter in a value of maybe -2. You'll play around with your print repeat to see what works for you. -2 on both the H and V spacing, which is horizontal and vertical, until we get a kind of nice matchup. If I see any sort of breaks or anything, I can go back and fiddle with my lines just to improve anything. It's looking pretty good for this demo. So now that I'm done, I'm going to save a copy. And be done with this preview. Now that I have my smaller swatch, I can go ahead and grab this swatch right here, copy it, go over to my flat. I'm going to go ahead and lock the layer that my flat is on, make a new one, and drag it right underneath my flat. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and paste my swatch in here. And that's really just to go ahead and bring that pattern swatch on into this file. I'm going to delete it once I'm done with it. From here, I'm going to grab my pen tool, and I already have my pattern repeat on fill from when I pasted my swatch in here. All I want to do is grab my stroke and make it invisible. Okay? Now what I want to do is I'm going to zoom in on my flat. I'm going to start to trace around my flat. I'm just going to go over those outline lines that I have already made. And you can see that as I go, my pattern is going to fill in my flat. And it's as easy as that. Now, I'm going to fix that line a little bit right here. There's a little bit. Sometimes we can fix it just by nudging the shape over. Oh, but then I open up right there. So I'm going to just fix that. I'm going to, I think, add an anchor point and then move it over with my white arrow. And I think that will solve our little gap problem there. Yep. So there we are. And of course, like with our regular flats, once we're done with one side, we can simply just copy and paste the shape for the other side. Now it has a slight asymmetry, or it's slightly different because again of this little kick pleat. So I'm going to transform and reflect it just so it fits nicely in the shape. Very easy. And I'll nudge it into place here with my arrow keys. And this way, because we did it on a sub-layer, all of my details of the flat are still showing up. So very, very easy. Bring it down just a little bit. Oh, I think this one was much taller, but again, if there are any little details, we can always go ahead and use our white arrow to fix it. Now that I'm done with this swatch, I can go ahead and delete it. Now, if I want to do another one, now you're going to have to do 3 of these like this. So what I'm going to do is lock my layer 3, go on to layer 2, again where my original flats are, unlock it, and they're all nice and grouped together already. So I'm just going to copy and paste a new set, and we'll fill it in with another pattern. So now that we've already done the print, let's go ahead and take a look at our stripes and plaid pattern. Now we've already gone ahead and used the make pattern option for a pattern and learned how to make one, but we can do the same thing with our stripes and our plaids. So let's take a look at that. Let's do our plaids first. So I'm going to go ahead and select my entire plaid swatch. I'm then going to go ahead and go to Object, Pattern, Make. Now here's our preview. We're going to have to amend this a little bit because our print repeat is not so great. We're going to have to make this part a little bit smaller And we're going to have to smush the edges in a little bit to make it mesh a little bit better. So I'm going to first start working over here. And let's make it a little bit bigger like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and size to my artwork, which will allow me to adjust my horizontal and vertical spacing. I'm going to play around with it using negative values. This will smush them in together a little bit more until I get a good repeat. So my problem area is right here. I'd really like this part to be this part. It's getting closer, but I'm going to zoom in, really see what's going on here. Start to move that in. And almost until we get a nice sort of mesh right there. Maybe a little bit more pushing together. And a little bit here too, but not too much, not as much. Or maybe just as much, let's see. There we go. And that's not looking too bad. Again, there might be some other little things that you want to fix by adjusting your piece. Now, if it's difficult, you might need to go ahead and adjust individual elements. You might need to go and ungroup it if you've already ungrouped it. But be careful. You might want to ungroup it and adjust it before you make it into a pattern, because apparently it goes ahead and puts it behind and sort of messes up your plaid pattern. But let me just sort of push it a little bit right in there, and I think that's actually pretty good. We're getting a nice even plaid right there. Okay, just like everything else, once we're done, we're going to save a copy and say, okay. Now, just like with anything else, this is our print repeat, but just like with the print, we're going to have to go ahead and scale this way down. Maybe that's a little bit too much. I can't even see my picture anymore. A little bit more. Oops. Make sure I get everything. And at this, I'm starting to get a little bit of a hiccup here, looks like. So I'm going to unsquish a little bit. And then I'll get a nice plaid. At the correct size. Once I'm done, I'm going to save a copy. And it'll be moved to my swatch pot panel. I can go ahead and do the same thing with my stripe pattern. Stripes are really the easiest. I didn't mention this before, but for both your stripe and your plaid pattern, you're going to want to make sure that your tile type is a grid type. Here's going to be pretty easy. Here we just have to smush downwards a little bit using negative values in our H and V spacing. And we'll swish it down. Now we have a little bit of a pour repeat right here because this part is a little bit wider. It's not a perfect repeat. So I'm going to go in and make it a little bit smaller on this side until I get a good print repeat. And we'll squish that way down. Now that's looking a lot more even. The last thing is I'm getting a little bit of this green line. So I'm going to zoom in real close and take a look at my yellow stripes and just make them a little bit longer so they go ahead and flow into one another. See if we can't get rid of that green line. And we have. So that's looking not too bad. And I can go ahead and save my copy of this. But again, if before we apply it to any print pattern or any flat pattern, we're going to want to go ahead and make it smaller. That was pretty easy. So we'll just go ahead and save a copy. Just like so. Now with both a proper print pattern of my plaid and of my stripe, I just have to choose which one I'll do. And I'm going to choose that plaid because I kind of like the way that'll look. I think it'll be a very cute skirt. I'll find it in my swatches tile. Go ahead and make a little swatch and fill it with that pattern repeat that I just did. It was this one. Once I have that there, I can copy that little swatch, bring it into my flat, which will, of course, bring in the pattern repeat, and I can just go ahead and rinse and repeat. But it's even easier than that, guys, because what I can do is grab this shape that I have already made, copy it, paste it, move it into place, and then while it's still selected, use my eyedropper tool on the swatch to switch it to the pattern that I want. So simple. So this way we can go ahead and do countless colorways of flats so quick and so easy. So there we have our print and a plaid, and we're going to do one more. You have 3. So you're required to do 1 in a print, 1 in a stripe or plaid, and the third one's going to be up to you. You can even do a solid color if you so choose. But just like before, we'll go ahead and grab our flat, make a copy of it. Oops. Place it. And decide what we want to do. Now the last one I haven't used is our stripe. So I'm going to go ahead here and fill a stripe. Fill it with our stripe pattern. copy our little swatch, bring it in, and of course, rinse and repeat. Just like so. You can keep the swatches if you want to keep them next to your colorway. Just make sure that you do attractively place everything. If you want to get rid of the swatches, you can get rid of the swatches as well. But this will be what your final flat in 3 colorways will look like. Something like this, a print, a stripe or plaid, and the third one, up to you. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.